Oh, yeah. Is it Thursday already? The Mandalorian and Grogu trailer came out 2 days ago, and the Easter eggs and crazy theories and plot keeps on coming from this trailer. We got articles to talk about. We got the the return of the hunt for Ben Solo somehow, some way. Steven Soderbergh talking about it, and with a new leadership change at Lucasfilm and Disney, this movie and many others might actually be on their way. But we got to talk about the Mandalorian and Grogu because the plot of this movie may have been revealed with this trailer, and many people might just have missed it. Din Djarin, is he going to die or is he not going to die? We got a lot to talk about today and not a lot of time, so without further ado, let's dive into all of it. What's up, everybody? How's it been doing on this fine Thursday afternoon? We got a fun one today. This Mandalorian and Grogu trailer has shocked the world, has sent the Star Wars fandom in a frenzy because this is exactly the droids we were looking for. This is perfect. Exactly what we wanted as Star Wars fans. The marketing for the Mandalorian and Grogu to pick up, and it picked up oh so greatly. And as you look across the interwebs, as you look across the Star Wars fandom, it seems to be 90%, and again, I say 90 because it's definitely not 100, but 90% of people are talking positively about this trailer, which is exactly what we need as Star Wars fans. Some more positivity and some more, I guess less negativity in the Star Wars universe. But it does seem like this trailer was a hit, and after a couple days of, letting it linger, it does seem to be that long-lasting big punch that we needed for marketing for this Star Wars movie. People are hyped about Embo, people are hyped about Zeb Orrelios, but more importantly, the plot of this movie finally was given to us, or at least pieces of that plot have been given to us, and we're going to talk about it today. But before we get into any of that, let's say hi to everybody in the chat, shall we? Let's start the stream the only way we know how, by saying hi to everybody in the chat. Brandon Baker, how we doing? Holly in the house. Another Mike who loves Star Wars. What is up? Fearless in the building. Nathan, what is up? Snow Wolf, how we doing? Mando United, how we doing? Darth Plagueis lives in the building. Dale Skywalker, how we doing? Fed, what is up? RG in the building. 730 Evie, how we doing? Darth Crate in the building. WV Grad, what is up? King Shadow, how we doing? All right, if I missed you, you know the deal. Just yell at me in the chat. Lobo, what is up? Let's give everybody a nice little...
Hello there.
General Kenobi.
All right, I think we got to start by just watching the trailer. I know we've probably all seen the trailer a million times. Tell me in the chat, how many times have you watched this Mando trailer since it came out on Tuesday, 2 days ago? Tell me in the chat. Let's watch it again. I know we've all seen it. But we'll set the tone. We'll set the hype for the trailer just by watching. For the live stream, just by watching the trailer. By the way, this trailer does have 9.6 million views in its first 2 days. Almost as many views as the first teaser trailer did in the first 4 months. It has 9.6 million views. And it's still, after 2 days, #1 on the movie trending charts on YouTube. So the hype is there. People are excited for this movie. But let's watch the trailer. Let's watch it again. Hang on. Okay, there we go. There we go.
Hey, never touch the buttons. I can use some information.
Whoa, for this price, I'll tell you whatever you want.
I'm looking for a Hutt.
Close for the night. Thank you.
Gangsters, war criminals.
Long live the Empire.
We'll take out every bad guy in your deck of cards.
This isn't about revenge. It's about preventing another war.
Strap in.
You will suffer. And then it will be his turn.
Before going into harm's way, check your armor. The kid will live centuries beyond me. I won't always be around to protect him.
Are you scared? You should be.
Do we run? Or do we fight?
I like this kid.
What are you waiting for? Let's save the rest for after dinner.
Forged for IMAX. Okay, so obviously a lot of stuff going on in that trailer. We broke it down on Tuesday. I made a full-on, like, 17-minute breakdown video of the trailer because there's so much going on with Easter eggs and everything. Today we're really dissecting the plot because although it is given to us piece by piece and, you know, scattered across the 2.5 minutes that we have here, there is a lot of what the plot of this movie is going to be. Granted, they're probably only showing us the first hour of the hopefully 2.5 hour movie, but it's laid out in front of us. We just got to put the pieces together, and I don't know, but I think I've done it. I think I've put the pieces together, and I've figured it out. We'll talk about it, and we'll figure it out in a second. What is cool to me, and nobody really is talking about it, Zeb Orrelios. Yeah, he's cool. He's in live action. It's great. It's cool. I'll get to that super chat in 1 sec. I think it's really, really not something that many people talk about, that Zeb has had so much experience with Force users with Kanan Jarrus and Ezra. Now, granted, Ezra is back in the galaxy now, and Zeb will be in Ahsoka Season 2, but Zeb crossing paths with Grogu, it's not the first Force user he's ever seen, and of course in the trailer he's saying, I like this kid, but when he sees him wield the Force, us as the audience and Zeb, we're going to get flashbacks to Kanan Jarrus and Ezra and all the great stuff that we've seen from Star Wars Rebels. So that'll be a cool interaction and be like, holy crap, he's like Kanan to Zeb Orrelios, which is going to be great. But let me get to that super chat really quickly, and then we'll talk about the big, I guess, elephant in the room, and that is Din Djarin's death. So, Holly with a very generous $10 super chat. Holy crap, that's an insane way to start this live stream. I appreciate that quite a bit. Says, don't tell me Star Wars is dead. You know what, Holly? I would never tell you that. I wouldn't do it. Because I think that's, you know, the most ridiculous statement ever, especially in the year of 2026 when we're getting Maul Shadow Lord in like 45 days, by the way. Maybe less than that. Yeah, you know, very soon. We're also getting The Mandalorian and Grogu about a month and a half after that. And then we're getting Ahsoka Season 2 later on in this year. So, yeah, Star Wars is dead. That's a little insane. But, you know, to each their own, I suppose. Darth Plagueis lives with a very generous $5 holla. God damn, early with the super chats. I appreciate this quite a bit. Says, I don't think that they will kill off Din Djarin, but the trailer certainly makes it look that way. What are the chances that Din actually dies? Okay, I'm glad you asked. Let's put up a poll. If you guys have not yet already, smash a freaking like on this stream, but let's pull this up. I'm going to leave this poll up for a big portion of today's live stream because I want to get as many people on it as possible. But do you think Din Djarin will die in this movie? Yes or no? Do you think Din Djarin will die in this movie? Yes or no? You tell me in the chat. And if yes, tell me what, tell me how, and if no, tell me why not. Because this trailer certainly makes you think he's going to. Not just his helmet being taken off by the Hutts, which is, you know, awesome, but this portion of the trailer here.
Before going into harm's way, check your armor. The kid will live centuries beyond me. I won't always be around to protect him.
Kid will live on centuries beyond me, and I won't always be there to protect him. There is no ifs, ands, or buts about the fact that Grogu will live beyond Din Djarin. That's made, I mean, that he could live up to 900 years old like Yoda did, and Din Djarin is just a human being, a Mandalorian, but a human being. He's not going to live very long in terms of, I guess, Grogu's lifespan. So at some point, he's going to die. The question becomes, is this the place they will do it? Is the Mandalorian and Grogu movie the time of Din Djarin's death? Din has had plenty of, near-death experiences. Season 1 finale, he almost dies right off the bat. First introduction to the character, almost dies immediately. He does not. He goes on for 3 seasons, a couple near-death experiences here or there throughout the 3 seasons. But now he's had probably close to, if not the most, screen time of any live-action character. I'm not sure on the numbers, but he's got to be close to the top. He has 24 episodes of a live-action show, and now he's getting his own movie. That's a lot of screen time. Probably more than Luke Skywalker, Han Solo, Leia, probably, with the prequel characters, they have the Clone Wars, so that's like a ton of screen time. But in terms of live action screen time, he's more than most of the movie characters. So it's not like we haven't had a lot of time with the character of Din Djarin. I think his death will have to be a very meaningful one, and if they don't do it in this first movie, it will happen later on in the trilogy, because yes, I still think we're getting a trilogy. I still think this movie, whether it's successful, I guess depends on whether or not we get a trilogy, but judging based off of the reaction to this trailer and the hype that's growing in the Star Wars fandom, still 3 months away from the movie, is very, very good to see and is a good track to this movie being successful. However, I think that this movie, when it is successful, and again, I think it'll make $1 billion. Success does not mean it has to make $1 billion, but it will kickstart us off into a trilogy. And if Din Djarin doesn't die in this first movie, which I'm still iffy on now because of the trailer, but if he doesn't, he will be dead by the end of the trilogy. That's for damn sure. So let's talk about, you guys tell me in the chat whether you think he's going to die or not and all that greatness. And let's talk about the plot. Yeah. The trailer shows Grogu all by himself on a planet that looks like Dagobah. So yeah, he'll be separated from Grogu. I don't think it's Dagobah, but yes, they will be separated for a very, very, very big portion of this movie. Like this scene in particular, Din Djarin's nowhere to be seen. Why are the two of them so split up? I don't know. However, this scene of all of them is impossible to place for me. I don't know the planet. I don't know why Grogu's by himself. I don't know why he's just, going through some sort of training sequence type thing here. I don't know. I have no idea. He won't die because, 1, he and Grogu are the franchise right now, and 2, they show him in peril. Oh, in peril in the trailer, therefore plot armor. So you're saying because he's almost dying in the trailer and they're talking about him like he's going to die in the trailer, that means he's not going to die? A little Uno reverse card by Lucasfilm. I like that. I do like that. However, the first reason, the fact that the two of them are the franchise right now, I don't think that would stop them. I don't think that would stop Dave Filoni, Jon Favreau, and Lucasfilm from killing off Din Djarin. I don't think it would. Think of it this way. Iron Man was the franchise for Marvel. Absolutely was going into Endgame. There's no ifs, ands, or buts about it. You can love Captain America, you can love Thor, you can love Spider-Man, but even Tom Holland Spider-Man was a side character at that point. He is the main guy, and they killed him off in Endgame. There's a point where a character's death would be a better use for the character than to keep just dragging on his story. Now, I don't think Din Djarin's story has started to drag yet, but you want to utilize the character in its best possible way. And I think, not just for Din Djarin's character, but also for the story that's to come, the Thrawn heir to the Empire, the possibility of seeing Grogu maybe go a little dark side. That would be so important, and that would all be because of Din Djarin's death. Could we get Luke again? No, I don't think this is Luke Skywalker's Ossus planet. I just don't think it is. It was a little less jungly than this, I feel like. But either way, I don't think Luke Skywalker will be in this movie. If it is a trilogy, it'll be more like later on in maybe episode 2 or 3, then we'll get Luke Skywalker. And again, it will only be as a cameo, and it'll be deepfakes Luke Skywalker. Yeah. True. Thrawn will kill Din Djarin, and Thrawn will most likely not be involved until the end of this movie. So Mando survives this movie. Oh, involved until the end. Okay. Well, I agree with you that if Thrawn is the one that kills Din Djarin, it immediately makes Thrawn a way better villain. Because think about it this way. For many, many Star Wars fans who have either read the novels or read the Legends trilogy, Heir to the Empire, I guess the canon novels, the 2 trilogies that Thrawn already has in canon, we know this character quite well. 9 books, 3 of them being Legends, so 6 books. 6 books with this character and 2 seasons of Star Wars Rebels and the last couple episodes of Ahsoka Season 1. We've spent a lot of time with this character. We know him, his backstory. We know him personally just completely because we've spent so much time with the character. For normie fans, they just got introduced to him if they watched Ahsoka. For fans who only watch the movies, they don't even know who this guy is. They just see this big blue meanie guy and they're like, okay, who cares? So you have to establish to those fans that Thrawn is a big deal, that Thrawn is a threat. And in doing so, if you kill off Din Djarin and kill him off by the hand of Thrawn, then you make him a big villain. Because just as, I think it was Mike said in the chat, Din and Grogu are the franchise right now. They are the most recognized, other than, of course, Luke or Vader. Like, they're the most recognizable faces in the franchise. Specifically Grogu, but Din Djarin as well. And that's why they're making the Mandalorian and Grogu movie, obviously. So if you were to kill one of those 2 characters off, the character who does the killing is going to be very significant. And if it's Thrawn, then you've established him as a big, big threat. Yes, I do like that theory quite a bit. Now, do I think Thrawn will be in this movie? Probably not. I mean, maybe he'll be teased in this movie, but probably not. Okay, 50 Thunder with a very generous $5 holla says, I don't think Din Djarin will die, but I think Din and Grogu will part company by the end of this movie. You're saying that by the end credits of The Mandalorian and Grogu, Din and Grogu won't be together? And yet they'll both be alive. Interesting. Why would that be the case then? Why would the 2 of them be split up if not for one of them being, dead? I do like the theory. I just don't, I don't see why they would do that. It wouldn't be a happy ending. Definitely wouldn't be a happy ending because one of them must be captured. One of them must be unable to be with the other. I would be very sad if Grogu died. As much as I think Din Djarin will die, I am the exact opposite for Grogu. If Grogu dies, that would be the most shocking thing to ever happen in the history of cinema. And that's not even an exaggeration. You have a character that probably makes them billions upon billions upon billions of dollars in marketing. Grogu is everywhere, and he can live for the next 900 years. He can be involved with the Mandalorians in a post-sequel world. He can be involved in the post-sequel trilogy with Simon Kinberg, maybe even involved with Rey's Jedi Order, and you're going to kill him off? That would be the most insane thing to ever happen. Probably in the history of the world. Okay, maybe not that far, but either way, it would be the most insane thing. Nobody, not a single person in their right mind would ever predict such a crazy theory. And I'm not even going to do it. I'm not going to do it even as a joke. There's no way Grogu dies in this movie. 0.000% chance. Yeah. Never going to happen. Okay. Sith Eternal with a very generous $5 haul says, I think yes, that Din Djarin will die. I don't think Pedro Pascal wants to play Din Djarin for much longer. I'm glad you brought this up. There is a side of things that we've heard from behind the curtain of Din Djarin and Pedro Pascal specifically not being very happy about his character's face not being shown on the screen. This was a big deal around Mando Season 3 because in Mando Season 3, we don't see his face. If you turn back the clocks, we haven't seen Din Djarin's face. We haven't seen Pedro Pascal's face in Star Wars in 6 years. Since Mando Season 2 in 2020. So, whether it's true or not remains to be seen. But if I was the actor, I'd be like, yeah, I want my face to be seen. My beautiful, luxurious face. Now, but in all seriousness, it would make sense. Now, we know for a fact that we will be seeing Din Djarin's face in this movie. So, I mean, yeah. That's not. They're using him. Pedro Pascal will be shown on screen. By the way, when we talk about leaks and scoops all the time, and I always say take it with a giant grain of salt, the reason I say that is for stuff like this. There were leakers and scoopers saying that Pedro Pascal wasn't on set a single day. A single day. What are we even talking about here? He's in the freaking trailer. So always take it with a giant grain of salt because a lot of times they have no idea what they're talking about. They're talking out of their asses. Yeah. Just take it with a giant grain of salt whenever we talk about leaks and scoops because unless it's from Lucasfilm themselves, it's usually not true. Well, not usually. I take that back. Most of the time, it's iffy. We'll put it that way. But yes, Pedro Pascal, there is some validity to that where Pedro Pascal's been playing this character now for 8 years, I guess, if you put into account of filming for the first season would have been before 2019. So, yeah, probably 7 years with this character. He's now Reed Richards with the MCU. He's in 1,000,001 different projects. Maybe he wants to be done with the character. That's absolutely a big part in all this. Because if Din Djarin's going to die, Pedro Pascal might have a role in that. Yeah. So that's definitely a good point, Sith Eternal, and I appreciate the super chats. I really, really do. You guys are feeling extra generous today, and I appreciate it. I appreciate it. Can we confirm that the AT-ATs in the trailer are indeed Thrawn's AT-ATs? Did any other outfit in Star Wars use that particular design? I can confirm that the only time we've seen that particular design is in Rebels. I cannot confirm whether or not anybody else has ever used them. But the only time we've ever seen them on screen is in Rebels. So those AT walkers that are on this ice planet are the same ones from Rebels and not the same ones from the Battle of Hoth. They're two separate designs. But I cannot tell you if they are anywhere else in the timeline because I don't know. I don't know. Yeah. I was watching your stream, and I had to log into YouTube to comment that Din Djarin will not die. It's probably my favorite comment of all time. This is just a Band-Aid to fix all the messes that Kathleen Kennedy did. That's why Season 4 is already written. Well, Season 4 was written during the production of Season 3. So that was long before Kathleen Kennedy was gone. But no, I mean, this movie is under the Kathleen Kennedy umbrella. Kathleen Kennedy just stepped down a couple weeks ago. This movie has been filmed for over a year now. It finished filming last December. So, yeah. Yeah. Jon Favreau has confirmed that Mando Season 4 is already written. Yeah, he confirmed that while Season 3 was coming out. He confirmed that a long time ago. And here's the thing. I don't think Mando Season 4 will ever happen, even if Din Djarin survives this movie. even if he survives this movie. I think they'll make a trilogy, and Din and Grogu, unless it's a cameo, will never show their faces on Disney Plus again. Yeah. No, Mando Season 4 will not happen unless they just use the name Mandalorian in namesake and they have Bo-Katan be the Mandalorian for Season 4, which I don't see them doing because of the backlash from Season 3. I think Din and Grogu are going to the big screen and they're going to stay there forever until they're gone. Mike, how's Samantha? Is she feeling better? Yes, she is feeling better. I'm very happy that you asked that. I'm sure she'll love that too. She's feeling great. Or I guess great is an overstatement, but she's feeling better. We'll put it that way. Yeah. First Andor, now The Mandalorian. Well, Andor came to a close. Andor ended. Like it ended. It had an ending. And it was great. Let's be honest. I mean, I could talk about Andor Season 2 forever because, you know.
This is where the fun begins.
But I won't do that. But it is an ending. Oh, it's going to go through all the super chats again. Let's quiet that. It is an ending. So I don't think the Mandalorian Season 3 is technically an ending. I mean, they have the Looney Tunes come to a close circle ending. And that is another reason why I think there won't be a Season 4. If you thought it was weird that Grogu and Din Djarin reunited in the book of Boba Fett, like Season 2 is this very emotional separation of the two characters, and then they reunite in the book of Boba Fett, and fans were like, no, that can't happen. Imagine if they went from Season 3 to Season 4 with this entire movie story in between and didn't explain it. Imagine the backlash on that. They'd be like, what is this crazy time gap in between the end of Season 3 and the beginning of Season 4? It doesn't even make sense. It wouldn't make sense. So another reason why Season 4 I don't think will ever happen. But that's just me. Okay, let's talk about the plot. Let's talk about the reason we're all here today. I know I brought up Din Djarin dying, and that's a big deal, but 82% of you guys, by the way, in the chat, don't think that Din Djarin will die in this movie. So I don't think the trailer did its job because, you know, they're supposed to be like, Din Djarin's going to die. And nobody believes it. Okay, but let's get to this. So not only did we get the trailer on Tuesday, but we also got a poster and an article. So let's take a look at the poster and the article and talk about the plot of this movie, shall we? Because I think I've figured it out. Now, maybe I'm completely wrong, but I think I've figured it out. Okay. This comes from StarWars.com, you know, the StarWars.com. Pedro Pascal stars in the new trailer for The Mandalorian and Grogu, yet another reason why they showed his face. You can sell so many more tickets for this movie when you have Pedro Pascal's face on it. It's just a great business decision. Sigourney Weaver's in the trailer. Enormous sci-fi star since the 80s, 70s? When did Alien come out? Either way, for a very long time. And Pedro Pascal, one of the biggest actors in Hollywood right now. He's got to be in the trailer. So they show his face. Mandalorian and Grogu are armored up and back in action in this new trailer that showcases some of the galactic denizens? Sure. They'll soon meet in their first epic feature film. First indicating more to come. Possibly. Do you guys think this is actually going to be a trilogy? We know that Lucasfilm wants it to be a trilogy, but Disney said no. Do you think they're going to actually make it a trilogy? Yes or no? Tell me in the chat. The latest action-packed trailer for The Mandalorian and Grogu arrived today, a couple days ago, filled with Hutts and other creatures and aliens. By the way, somebody mentioned this earlier too. They do not mention Embo by name in the trailer or in this article. Very weird because we all know it's Embo. Like, there's no other character in Star Wars that looks like this guy. But it's weird that they don't mention him by name. Take a look. The evil empire has fallen. The Imperial warlords remain scattered throughout the galaxy. This is a big deal. I know the trailer focused a lot on the Hutts. I know it didn't really have much to do with the Empire at all. I know Embo stole the show and people were excited about it. He's a great character from the Clone Wars. It's cool. The Imperial warlords, the Shadow Council itself, and Thrawn are still the endgame. That is still what's most important. And I really think that this trailer is trying to subvert our expectations, trying to make us look one way when the other way is the truth. And I think the remnant of the Empire, the Imperial warlords, are the main threat here. Did they hire the Hutts to get Din Djarin? Maybe. Did they hire Embo to go to Navarro? Maybe. But let's not forget why we're all here. Let's not forget what the Mandalorian is at its core. The entire plot of the 3 seasons is the Empire is after Grogu because of his blood for Project Necromancer. Just because Moff Gideon is dead doesn't mean Project Necromancer is gone. We actually know that it's very well not gone because Palpatine does return. Somehow Palpatine returns. But having said that, the movie is going to continue that plot. The Empire is still going to want Grogu and his blood for Project Necromancer. The Shadow Council, although Moff Gideon is dead, is still alive and well. And people like Hux's dad, who's in charge of Project Necromancer right now, are still going to want Grogu and his blood. Okay, so although there's a lot of Hutts, the Empire is still just as important, if not more important. As the fledgling New Republic works to protect everything the rebellion fought for, they have enlisted the help of the legendary legendary Mandalorian bounty hunter, Din Djarin, played by Pedro Pascal, and his young apprentice, Grogu, and son, I suppose, Grogu. Okay. Directed by Jon Favreau and starring Pedro Pascal as the Mandalorian, Sigourney Weaver as Colonel Ward, and Jeremy Allen White as Rada the Hutt. I think Rada's going to have a bigger role than we think. We've heard Jeremy explain to us that he is a pretty big role in this movie. He's slithering around with Din Djarin. So that fight that we see in the trailer, it might just be how those two meet, and there's going to be a lot more of him helping out our heroes in this movie. The latest trailer includes a new look at Zeb Aurelius, now flying for the New Republic, and other species, including a Cayuzo bounty hunter, which is indeed Embo, but for some reason they don't give us his name. Like, it's not a mystery that who this character is. If you've seen the Clone Wars, you know who he is. So I don't know why they're keeping it a secret. They're not keeping Rada a secret. They're not like, ooh, mysterious Hutt number 1, mysterious Hutt number 2. No, they told us exactly who this character is. Jabba the Hutt's son, Rada. Why are they keeping it a secret that that's Embo? Strange. Also, the Ardenian fry cook, voiced by Martin Scorsese, which we did talk about on Tuesday. But yes, the legendary director Martin Scorsese is in Star Wars now. Not directing, but as a Ardenian. So, I don't know what that's about. And the Anzellans, which, by the way, I think are going to have a way bigger role in this movie than I ever could have possibly imagined. Like, they might be the reason that Din Djarin doesn't die if he doesn't die. We'll put it that way, but we'll get to that. We also see Mando unmasked, raising all kinds of questions about his journey ahead because, you know, he can't take off that helmet, but it's taken off for him. This is the new poster that we got, too. Let's open this up. Zoom out. So the first poster we got was jam-packed with a ton of different things. And by the way, we'll take a look at that, too. But this is just Din and Grogu holding up the hand like he's wielding the Force, and only in theaters on May 22nd. So if you take a look at that, and then you take a look at the original poster that we got 5 months ago, this one's a little more jam-packed. Oh, that's not what I wanted. Hang on. I just want the trailer. I just want the poster, man. I just want the poster. What is happening here? Okay, I fixed it. I fixed it. So we take a look at this poster. Now we actually have some of this explained. I think this Razor Crest, of course, is being piloted by Din Djarin. And those two X-Wings are Sigourney Weaver's character, Colonel Ward, and Carson Teva, because he was, of course, in the Lego set. You got the Grand Admiral Thrawn AT-AT walkers, or Star Wars Rebels AT-AT walkers. Now we do know what this crazy dragon snake character is that was in this trailer. By the way, Din Djarin wearing a helmet there. They kept that a secret. Grogu and Din on the AT-RT, which we didn't get in this trailer, but we did get in the leaked trailer. Zeb from Season 3, not from the movie. The twin Hutts, which clearly are going to be very important. The Anzellans, which I think are far more important than we are led to believe. And Colonel Ward herself. So this is a more jam-packed poster than our new one here. But, where was I? But, new poster, really cool, Din and Grogu, sure. Mandalorian and Grogu is produced by Jon Favreau, Kathleen Kennedy, Dave Filoni, and Ian Bryce, and music composed by Ludwig Göransson. And May 22nd, 2022. So, I'm sorry, 2026, not 2022, 2026. So let's talk about the plot of this movie. Now, the thing I keep going back and forth on is the opening scene of the movie. I'm not quite sure what it may be, but here's my theory. I'll tell it to you from beginning to end, and then we'll talk about it. You'll tell me if I'm wrong. You'll tell me if I'm right. You'll tell me if I'm cooking. You'll tell me if I'm an idiot. We'll go through it. But let me explain it to you first, and then we'll go from there, okay? So, what I think happens in this movie, the opening scene is this. Okay, not that. This is this. Embo going to Navarro. Now, what I still go back and forth on is whether or not he's going to kill Greef Karga, because Carl Weathers sadly passed away. His character is going to have to be dealt with in terms of the plot, so he needs to be killed off. And I assume it'll happen off screen. However, I think that the revenge that Sigourney Weaver's character is talking about, where she says this is not about revenge, that is because she knows Din Djarin lost somebody close to him, and Greef Karga will be that person. But I think this is the opening scene. Maybe you get an opening crawl. Hopefully you get an opening crawl. And this is our opening scene, a fight on Navarro between two badass bounty hunters, Din Djarin and Embo, who for some reason they aren't telling us his name, and Embo. This is the only shot in the trailer that we get of the N1 Starfighter because I think it'll be blown up in the very first scene. You can see one of the engines right there. I think this will be blown up in the very first scene, explaining why he needs a Razor Crest, because, well, he needs to help transport Stinky the Hutt around, which is not easy in an N1 Starfighter, but also because his N1 Starfighter was blown up in the beginning of the movie. So that's what I think. Incredible open action sequence of Embo trying to kill or capture Din Djarin, and the two of them going back and forth will be badass. And how Grogu's not involved with this, I don't know, but he clearly doesn't get captured by Embo, as you can see him looking up later on. Now, I think this is going to be a very similar opening to Attack of the Clones. I know Attack of the Clones, people really don't like that movie. I don't know what it is. It's an extremely underrated movie, if you ask me. But the opening sequence of Padmé's assassination, where, I guess it's not the opening sequence, but the second or third scene of the movie, where Palpatine wants Padmé dead, so he tells Count Dooku to do it. Count Dooku hires Jango Fett to do it. Jango Fett hires Zam Wesell to do it. Zam Wesell tells a droid to do it. The droid uses the insects to do it. So it's like a chain of command type thing. What I think's happening here is the Empire needs Grogu or wants Din Djarin dead. Unconfirmed. But they hire the Hutts to do it, and the Hutts hire Embo the bounty hunter to do it. So it's much like the beginning of Attack of the Clones in that way. So Embo comes in, blows up the M1 starfighter, captures Din Djarin, and takes him to the Hutts. In that,
You will suffer. And then
Grogu is left behind. And he's left behind by himself. And shout out to the Discord. If you guys are not yet in the Discord, there's a link in the description below to the Discord called The People Who Love Star Wars. Go join it immediately. But you guys caught this. There's an Anzellan right there next to Grogu watching what looks to be a ship flying away with Din Djarin in it. So somehow, some way, Din Djarin saved Grogu's life, gets captured, and now Grogu has to work with the Anzellans to go rescue him. And again, I think this is all just the opening sequence, all just the opening 30 to 45 minutes of the movie to kickstart us off into the action. That's why you do see Grogu and the Anzellans so much in this trailer together. Even in the teaser trailer, the first trailer that we got, you see the two of them going through, or the five of them, because there's 4 Anzellans and Grogu, going through the sewer pipes on the, I think, Nalhutta. But we'll get to that in a second. So they're split up immediately. Din and Grogu are separated. Din Djarin's captured, and Grogu has to go save him. Then we get all of this.
his turn.
All the stuff with the Hutts, the twin Hutts, taking his helmet off, and Din Djarin is thrown into the Rancor pit, or at least this version of the Rancor pit, the twin Hutts version of the Rancor pit, with this dragon snake. There is no way, zero chance, that Din Djarin survives this without an intervention from, or intervening, from Grogu. And as I mentioned on Tuesday, that pipe right there is the exact same as, hang on, oh, perfect. Is the exact same as our original teaser trailer. What is happening with my screen right now? What is going on? Okay. I don't know why I just did that. It was like frozen for a second. The exact same as this final scene.
Good shot, baby.
Sewer pipe, water on the bottom, flowing, water going there. Yeah. Anzellans and Grogu together. Same shot or same location as this sewer pipe right here. And right before Din Djarin's going to die, the dragon snake will be stopped through the Force, with Grogu saving the day, just like he did with the Mudhorn all the way back in season 1. This is all the opening sequence. Din Djarin gets captured by Embo, sent to the Hutts, sent to the Sarlacc, or sorry, not the Sarlacc, but to the Rancor pit, this snake pit, and Grogu and the Anzellans come in and save the day. That's why they're talking about revenge, because he wants revenge for the Hutts. That's why Din Djarin's looking for the Hutts in the first place.
I can use some information.
Whoa. For this price, I'll tell you whatever you want.
I'm looking for a Hutt.
Close for...
Why is he looking for a Hutt? Because, well, that's what happened. That's how the movie kickstarts us off. And keep in mind, him and Grogu are together again, right there. Grogu's on his shoulder. So the two start separated. Well, they start together, get separated, and come back together. Now, on this planet, he will find a Hutt. And that Hutt will be Stinky the Hutt. And that's when they will fight in the gladiator ring, which is right here. This whole fight will happen. Din Djarin will fight the Dejeric pieces, the hollow chess pieces from the Millennium Falcon. And actually, somebody pointed this out. I didn't even notice this. The floor of this gladiator ring is like the hollow chess board. You can see like black and then white tiling. It's the hollow chess board, which is so insanely cool. But you're going to see this big old fight scene where Din Djarin's trying to find the Hutts, specifically the twin Hutts, or any Hutt, I guess, and he happens upon Stinky, Rada. During this fight, I think Din Djarin will actually lose to Rada. I think Din will beat the Djarin pieces, but lose to Rada. And then after the fight, they'll sort of have a conversation where Din's like, I'm looking for these twins. Do you know how I can find them? Blah, 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 blah. And I actually think Stinky's going to help him. I think Stinky's going to be a good guy while the other Hutts are bad guys. There's a reason why he's in this gladiator ring and not a crime boss like most other Hutts are. It's like he's a rebellious teenager Hutt who's rebelling against the Hutt clans. So I think he might actually help Din Djarin and be like, yeah, I hate those twins too, so let's work together here. That's what I think is going to happen. And Stinky will actually be a friend, not a foe, even though the two of them will start out as foes in this fight right here. So he's looking for a Hutt because the Hutts captured him and tortured him, and then he finds Stinky and they become unlikely allies. I think he'll eventually find the twin Hutts and realize that they're not the ones who wanted him in the first place, and that they were just hired by the Empire. And that's what leads us all the way back to this scene right here.
More criminals.
Like, this doesn't happen until way, way, way later in the movie, where this could be Ilum, it could be Hoth, it could be any ice planet, but it happens later on in the film after Din Djarin figures out who's behind all of this, who's trying to hunt him and Grogu down, and why. That's the biggest thing too. Do they still want Grogu's blood? Is it still Project Necromancer? But all the stuff with the Hutts, I think, will be over and done with it within the first 30 to 45 minutes of the movie. And that's just the opening sequence, an opening scene, opening act of the movie to get us into the spot where we need to be for the Empire to be introduced and be the main threat of the movie. Because although the Hutts were capable of capturing Din Djarin because of Embo, it doesn't mean that they are going to be the ones behind all of it. And that's all I got. I could not tell you at all what happens in the third act of this movie, or even half of the second act. I don't know the big final battle. I don't know how this opening scene of the trailer fits into any of it. All I can tell you is what we have from this trailer. And I think what we have from this trailer is about 90% all the first 30 to 45 minutes of the movie. And the back half is still all a complete mystery. Will Boba Fett show up? Will Bo-Katan show up? Will it be this big battle with a bunch of X-Wings and Y-Wings versus the remnant of the Empire? Will Thrawn be involved somehow, some way? How involved is the Shadow Council? Is this Project Necromancer? Is this Starkiller base that we're going to? All of that is still completely up in the air because, of course, they wouldn't reveal all their surprises and shocks in the trailer. But we do have a lot of Hutts, and I think all of that is just the opening sequence of the movie. So that's where I'm at. I don't know how the Empire or how this movie is going to end. And the biggest question mark that I still have remaining is this. I don't know what Grogu's doing here. I have no idea. Not a clue. Why will they go to the ice planet in a Y-Wing, though? Or sorry, in a U-Wing, though? I don't know what you mean. Oh, okay. I do know what you mean, actually, from the previous trailer. You're talking about when they blow up the AT walkers. Okay. This might be a little bit of trailer magic. Oh, wait, it doesn't happen there. Hang on. Where does that happen at? There it is. Yeah, so this scene. This might not be the ice planet. Yeah, there's nothing that indicates this is our ice planet. This could be any number of planets from the trailer. This could be Nal Hutta. It could be them escaping. Maybe not, because that would be the Anzellan ship, right? I don't know. No Razor Crest. No N1. I don't know. This almost seems like somebody is saving them here, because I don't think Dim will be piloting that U-Wing. Maybe it's Sigourney Weaver who's saving them. Or maybe it's Zeb Orrelios who's saving them. But I don't think this is the ice planet. I don't think this is what could be Starkiller Base. It's a nice ship. Yeah, I mean, it's a throwback to Andor, which is great. But yeah, I don't know why in particular it would be here. Why do all Star Wars planets only have one environment? I mean, that's a great question, but an unanswerable one. Star Wars has always been that way, where you only have one biome or environment per planet. Tatooine, all desert. Endor, all forest. Hoth, all ice or snow. Kamino, all water. Mustafar, all lava and volcanoes. I guess the short answer is because it's easier. How would you know what planet you were on if they all looked like Earth? Because Earth has volcanoes, Earth has deserts, Earth has snow, Earth has forests. So if they all looked like Earth, we wouldn't have a clue where we were in the galaxy at any time. So I guess that's your easy answer, but I don't know. Because it's sci-fi. Emphasis on fiction. Yeah. I have a theory on Grogu sitting there. Okay, here we go. They may have Luke appear to Grogu like Obi-Wan appears to Luke, telling him to go to the Dagobah system. And that would be a beautiful tie-in to the original trilogy. The only problem with that, Grogu, and by the way, incredible username, is Luke's not dead. Obi-Wan tells Luke to go to the Dagobah system because he's a Force ghost. He appears to him as a Force ghost, and he's dead, and he's telling him to go visit Yoda. Maybe Yoda appears to him? I know it sounds crazy, but I don't think we'll see Yoda in this movie, but I mean, I'm down for it. I'm down for it. It just seems out of place. Well, first and foremost, what did you guys think of my plot theory? The whole Embo coming in, capturing Din Djarin, bringing him to the Hutts, them narrowly escaping with Grogu's help with the Anzellans, then wanting revenge on the Hutts, figuring out that it's the Empire all along, it was Agatha all along, and then that we can kind of get into that third act. Do you think that's what's happening here? Because it would make sense because the trailer only shows us so much of the movie. It doesn't explain, though, scenes like this. It just doesn't explain.
I won't always be around to protect.
You guys can't see that. Hang on. It doesn't explain scenes like this, where Grogu is meditating here by himself on some foresty planet. And it's not a 100% confirmed everything type deal, but it does explain a lot of the plot. It does explain how Embo's involved and why he's probably only in one or two scenes. And it does explain why we get the Hutts and so much of the Hutts when the Hutts weren't involved at all in the first 3 seasons of The Mandalorian. You have to remember, this is a continuation of that show. We're not just going to get no familiar faces. We're not just going to get no connections to the plot of Grogu being hunted by the Imperial remnant. All of that is still relevant and still a part of these characters' stories. So there's the fact that there was no Hutts at all in The Mandalorian means that there has to be a reason for them in this movie. Now, I want to ask you guys this. Do you think this is, I guess, the backlash the backlash of the Book of Boba Fett? Because Boba Fett does have his altercation with the twin Hutts, but it seems to end in a pretty good way. They gift him a Rancor, and they're like, my bad. But he does go off and kill a bunch of Pikes with the help of Din Djarin. So maybe the Hutts still hold a grudge because of that. I guess my question to you is, do you think this does have to do with the events of the Book of Boba Fett? Is that the reason that the Hutts are after Din Djarin, or is it because of Grogu still? What do we think? What do we think? I think the twin Hutts play dumb in the Book of Boba Fett when they gave up Tatooine to Boba because they have the plans that we're going to see in the movie. Interesting. So you think they're just gifting Boba Fett a Rancor just to make him feel good? And then in the long run, they're going to just come in and take that from him? The interesting part about Tatooine in particular is it's outside of Hutt space. When you look at it on the map, it's not in the Hutt space zone of the Star Wars galaxy. So maybe they just were willing to give up that because I guess Jabba was the one who held it anyway. So they're like, doesn't really affect us too much. Yeah, I don't know. See you, WV grad. Hope your dog's doing all right. Cassidy says, I think it's unlikely Din Djarin will die because if this movie miraculously makes $1 billion plus, then they will still want him as a character around. Yeah, I mean, sure. Nah, kill him off. Okay, Grogu is a cloning asset. Absolutely. That's the whole plot of the first 3 seasons. But you know who else is a cloning asset who hasn't been brought into live action yet at all? And probably won't be introduced in this movie, but I mean, hey, who's to say? Is Omega. The Bad Batch is a great show. Okay, season 3 is like peak on peak on peak, but it's set up for a purpose. It's set. Sorry, I got distracted and I realized that this frame was still on the screen. Does this planet not look like Wayland to anybody else? I doubt that it is. I seriously doubt it. But Mount Tantus on the planet of Wayland, this looks like Wayland. If you were to ask me, if you took Grogu out of this and said, is this Mount Tantus in live action? Or sorry, is this Wayland in live action, the location of Mount Tantus? I'd be like, yeah, absolutely. Sorry. Take that off the screen. Omega. I think Omega does play a big role in all this, just as Grogu does as well. And Mount Tantus is going to come into live action at some point. Maybe not in this Mandalorian and Grogu movie, but maybe in Ahsoka Season 2. We forget that this movie will lead into Ahsoka Season 2. Zeb will be in both projects, and the events of this movie will have some sort of effect on the events of Ahsoka Season 2, or at least a half of Ahsoka Season 2, because the other half is in a different galaxy. Either way, it does seem likely that all of this still has to do with Grogu's importance to the Empire. They're not giving up very easily on this whole Project Necromancer thing. We know it succeeds. The question becomes, is Grogu actually going to be a part of the creation of Snoke? Is Grogu's blood going to be the reason that Snoke is created? Maybe it's a combination of Grogu and Omega and Luke Skywalker. But in order to make Snoke an even cooler and more intriguing villain, to make the sequels more cool and intriguing, if Grogu and Luke Skywalker are part in creating that, that would be enormous. And you can even add to that this ice planet being Starkiller Base itself. Because if we go to Starkiller Base while it's in construction, it'll be just like Andor with the construction of the Death Star. And people love that. Everybody loves that stuff where you get more of a backstory for something as big as the Death Star or Starkiller Base. Yeah. Ezra, Omega, and Grogu would make a good team after Din Djarin dies. There you go. Din Djarin's going to die. Confirmed. Now, I really hope Ezra meets Grogu, because he's the one who could be like, oh my God, it's Baby Yoda. And everybody will lose their minds. Yeah.
This is where the fun begins.
I just want him. Lucasfilm, if you're watching, make that happen. Just one interaction between Ezra and Grogu where he calls him Baby Yoda. It'll be perfect. It'd be perfect. Yeah. Okay, but going back to it, I think that still you're going to have a big battle sequence in the end of the movie. Something huge that has to do with Imperial Remnant, maybe the Hutts as well, helping each other, versus the New Republic. Big fight sequence in the sky. Like the opening scene of the trailer, which does not get talked about nearly enough, is this. Yes, we get into the Hutt stuff. Yes, we get into seeing all the Grogu training sequences and that stuff's cool. Embo, great. Zeb, cool. This is the opening shot of the trailer. A bunch of X-Wings and a Y-Wing getting ready to go into a battle, getting ready to go into a fight. This will end in a big battle. There will be an action-packed big fight scene with X-Wings versus hopefully TIE fighters. We even have the exploding Hutt ship, and this might just be due to the Razor Crest and Din Djarin, but either way, big explosion. Actually, wait, is that a... Oh, no, it's just a piece of it. I thought it was a TIE fighter. So, you're going to have your big action sequences. You're going to have your big fight sequences in the sky, but let's not forget that we have this sequence of X-Wings in battle, and we know from behind-the-scenes images from over a year ago that Sigourney Weaver is going to be in an X-Wing suit, meaning she will be in an X-Wing. And she was not on set for many days, so she's going to have to be, in a pretty big fight sequence at some point in this movie. And, of course, you got the droids there that'll be walking around. Yeah. Either way, this is all leading to some big battle at the end of the movie. Much like almost every Star Wars movie has a big battle at the end of the movie. This is going to end in some big climactic battle between the New Republic and the remnant of the Empire. And this trailer that we got 2 days ago is mostly focused on other things. Probably to keep the surprise a surprise. I believe that there will be plenty of cameos, for lack of a better word. But you're going to get to see a lot of really, really cool action sequences and explanations towards the Thrawn of it all. You might not see him, but you might get a mention of him like we did in Mando Season 3 with the Shadow Council, and maybe you'll even see another Shadow Council meeting. You're going to have to get an explanation, not just for the hardcore Star Wars fans, but even for the normie fans. After the fall off of Moff Gideon, how does that affect the remnant of the Empire moving forward? Stuff like this, where the hell is it? Stuff like this scene from the trailer is going to be extremely important. Long live the Empire. It's the only thing in this entire 2.5-minute trailer that has anything to do with the Empire. It's all about the Hutts. And let's make this 100% clear. This movie is not going to be all about the Hutts. No. Embo will not be the main villain like the leaks wanted you to believe all those many moons ago, and neither will the Hutts. It all leads back to these guys. Specifically, I guess,
Live the Empire.
this guy. We don't have a name for him yet, but he is one of the Shadow Council members from season 3. I believe I have. Oh, no, I don't. Okay, never mind. But he is, I think I have it somewhere. Let me see. Yeah, there it is. This is the same guy from Mando Season 3. So we're probably, we know for a fact we're getting another Shadow Council member too, played by John Cohen or something like that. We're getting at least 2 Shadow Council members in this movie. We know that for a fact. it's likely that we'll get the entire thing. Another hologram meeting of all of them together, and maybe even some Hux's dad, and maybe even some Captain Pellaeon, because Captain Pellaeon is, I guess, the Imperial Remnant guy for Thrawn, or Shadow Council member guy for Thrawn. So maybe not an appearance of Grand Admiral Thrawn himself, but at least a mention, at least a Shadow Council members meeting. There is going to be a way bigger Imperial side to this movie that this trailer in particular is not looking at. The first teaser trailer did give us a lot more of that. If we go back here, you got the Empire littered all across this trailer. Stormtroopers here. Stormtroopers here. Zeb attacking them. And then the big... So really, the Empire is still the main bad guy. They're still the big threat. And the New Republic is just too stupid to see that at this point. So my thing, when you hear Sigourney Weaver in this trailer say, we're just trying to prevent another war, the New Republic is going to be too stubborn to even want to fight another war. And that's how not only Grand Admiral Thrawn, but the First Order, Snoke and the First Order, are going to rise to power because they refuse to fight in another war. And the Mandalorian is going to give us even more of that. Because let's say Din Djarin goes to this Imperial base, finds all these AT-AT walkers and all this huge evidence that the Empire is definitely not gone. We'll put it that way. If he gets all that evidence and then goes to the New Republic and they're like, nah, we don't want to deal with that. The Empire is gone. You're just a bounty hunter. We're not going to believe you. And maybe he goes to Hera Syndulla and she does believe him, and that's what leads into Ahsoka Season 2 and in the whole Thrawn of it all. But either way, it could be the case that us as the audience and Din Djarin and Grogu see that the Empire is alive and well. They're doing just fine. Okay, maybe not just fine, but they don't have their leader, Palpatine and Vader, but still they have a big army and a lot of AT walkers and other things. But the New Republic is too dumb, and I guess dumb is a harsh word. They don't want to see that the threat is still there because they don't want to be in another war. They fought in a war for 20 years as the rebellion. They fought for 20 years since Order 66. Probably more than that, let's be honest. 25 years. And before that was the Clone Wars. They've been at a constant war in the galaxy for probably upwards of 25 years. They don't want to do it anymore. And that makes sense. But that want to not be in another galactic war is what's going to allow the First Order and Thrawn to rise to power. And us as the audience, and Din Djarin as Fives from the Clone Wars, is going to figure it out, is going to maybe even see Starkiller Base, find out about Project Necromancer and Grogu's significance to it, and try to tell people, like Fives tried to tell Anakin and Rex, and they won't believe him. They won't believe him because it's too crazy to assume. Palpatine's dead. Vader's gone. The Empire is dead. We've already had the Battle of Jakku. It's done. It's too crazy to believe that the Empire could still be back. Just like it's too crazy to believe that the Chancellor of the Republic is putting microchips in the clones' heads that'll make them turn on the Jedi. Just like Fives. It would be really crazy if Din Djarin was the new Fives of this era. But let's not forget how Fives' story ended. He tried to warn them. They didn't believe him. And then he dies. If this is Din Djarin trying to warn the New Republic, them not believing him, and then he dies, we're going to have a problem. People are still devastated over the Five's arc from the Clone Wars, and rightfully so, because that is just an incredibly heartbreaking story for that character. And Din Djarin might have a very similar paralleling? Is that even a word? Sure. Paralleling story to that. Do I think Leia will appear? They tease Princess Leia in Ahsoka season 1. So do I think it's possible she could be in this movie? Yes. I don't think she will be, though. I think it's more likely that she'd be in Ahsoka season 2. Yeah. Can I get some good cups full of orders in the chat, please? Bum, bum. So you think the Hutts are mad still because of the Book of Boba Fett? But they seem to be okay with it in the Book of Boba Fett. They're like, now we're good. I'll send you a Rancor. I'll send you a Christmas present. Yeah. In season 3, Din Djarin teaches Grogu how to navigate. This will tie in for the ending so that they can meet up with the rest of the Mandalorians. Well, I think a lot of that might be because they're going to be separated in this movie. If the movie opens with Din Djarin being captured by Embo and taken to the Hutts, then Grogu's going to have to use that navigating skills that Din Djarin taught him in season 3 to go rescue his dad. To go rescue his dad, I guess. Yeah. But either way, the first teaser trailer gave us so much more Empire, while the second one was focused completely on the Hutts. And I think it's to, again, make us think one thing while the other thing is far more true. Now, actually, I haven't done this yet, so let's do this together live. Let's watch back the teaser trailer. Because now with the information that we know from this new trailer, let's go take a look at the old one.
Baby.
So here's a couple of big things, actually. Now that somebody mentioned in the chat, yeah, Max Rebo said, "Do you think that Din Djarin meeting with the twins will happen before, or with Grogu will happen before or after he meets with them alone?" So I think he will be taken to them first by himself. That's when his mask comes off, and that's when they have that whole thing. Interesting. I don't know. It almost seems like there's 3 meetings with these, because Grogu is with him in that other trailer, and then in this one, he's by himself. This scene is so important. Din by himself fighting these droids. Because, honestly, if we're going based off of the plot I was talking about earlier, if Din gets captured, brought to the Hutts, put into their version of the Rancor pit with that giant white snake dragon looking thing, and then Grogu comes and saves the day, you might see Din just break back in, kill these droids, and go kill the Hutts. Imagine that the opening scene has Din Djarin actually kill the twins as revenge, and then he's looking for more Hutts because he killed the twin Hutts before he was able to question them or figure out why the Hutts were looking for Grogu in the first place. So he looks for Stinky the Hutt because he didn't get the answers that he wanted, and then he finds Rada, and Rada doesn't have the answers either, but he maybe has a clue or something. Or maybe he gets into this vault and the twins are already gone. Maybe they've completely left the planet and they're just gone completely. That's also possible. Yeah. But either way, this scene of Din Djarin breaking in to that throne room, and this scene, where is it? This scene of him with Grogu on his shoulder, which again might be a little bit of trailer magic, but either way, these droids are kneeling before him. You can see kneeling there and kneeling there. They're kneeling like that must happen before. So Din goes to them.
King.
Something shady is going on here because Grogu is not with him when his helmet is off. He is there, but again, he's not in this scene. So either Grogu's never with him when he goes to see the Twin Hutts and they're just messing with us, or he goes to this place 3 separate times. One, he's brought and his helmet gets ripped off. Another, he comes here and breaks his way in. And the third time, he's welcomed in with Grogu on his shoulder. I don't know. I don't know. It could be 3 separate times, or it could all just be 2 times, I guess, or all be messing with us in the first place. Here's the thing. I don't see, because in our new trailer, it looks like they're expecting him. You got the droids kneeling, and the doors opening to Din and Grogu, like they're ready for him.
Gangster.
But then, if you fast forward here,
It will be his turn.
they take it off his helmet. He's kneeling down. He's clearly not doing this on purpose, and Grogu's not with him, or at least not on his shoulder. Maybe he's in the room somewhere. I don't know. But it looks like 2 completely different separate scenes, if you ask me. It's just one time. I hope the Hutts won't be a major part in the movie. Oh, they definitely will be. At least the first hour. It's possible that the Twin Hutts do die in this movie. Like Din Djarin's the one who kills them because he threatens Grogu and threatens him. But I don't see it being... The Hutts are a big part of the story. I just think that they've been hired by the Empire to go after Din and Grogu. Why else would the Hutts want him? There's no reason. There's no reason for them to ever spend any effort to go all the way to the planet of Navarro to find a bounty hunter. It wouldn't make sense at all. Yeah, there's a bigger threat, and that bigger threat is the Empire. It's just we're going to start off with the twins. Are the Twin Hutts conjoined twins? I don't think so. I don't think so. Let's see. I think like she's just sitting like this, and then he's just sitting like behind. I don't know. I mean, maybe they are. Maybe they are. I don't know. Either way, there's something weird going on there where they're making us think that there's 3 different interactions with the Twin Hutts. 3 separate interactions with the Twin Hutts, which I don't think is happening. I missed a super chat. Hang on. Another Mike who loves Star Wars, a very generous $2 holla, says, where have we seen those Thrawn AT-ATs before? Just in Rebels. To my knowledge, just in Rebels. So you're talking about these AT-ATs? So these ATs are different than the ones at the Battle of Hoth. They're different from the ones seen in the original trilogy. These are the ones seen in Star Wars Rebels, and you can tell by the guns on the side of them and its neck because it's shaped differently than the ones at the Battle of Hoth. So it is slightly different. But I don't know if we've ever seen them anywhere other than there. And these AT-ATs are significantly larger? Are they? I mean, it's kind of hard to tell because they're standing next to a mountain. It's not much to scale it to. Yeah. Remember, the armorer was okay with Bo taking her helmet off. Well, the armorer knows that there's different clans of Mandalorians and that some can actually do that. You know? The whole taking off your helmet thing wasn't really brought around until, at least not to live action at all, until The Mandalorian. But other Hutts have been taking, other Mandalorians have been taking off their helmets since the Clone Wars. Well, before that, but to us, since the Clone Wars. The specs for the Rebels ones are available, and they're a lot taller. Okay, interesting. I did not know that. So there you go. The AT-ATs are very different from the ones seen in at the Battle of Hoth. Yeah. Okay. So we'll continue to talk about the Mandalorian and Grogu, of course, but I can't forget to talk about the hunt for Ben Solo here because it is a very... wait, one more thing. We'll do this after. Okay. Hunt for Ben Solo. We did get a big update from the director himself, Steven Soderbergh, about the hunt for Ben Solo. And I want to ask you guys, let's actually put up a poll here. Whoa. So 77% of you guys say no, Din Djarin will not die in the Mandalorian and Grogu movie. 23% say yes, he will. We shall see. Over 100 votes on that poll, which is pretty good. All right, let's do this. Do you think the hunt for Ben Solo will happen? Yes or no? Yes or no? Tell me what you think in the chat. Do you want the hunt for Ben Solo to happen? And I'll give you guys the little, backstory for this before we get into what Steven Soderbergh has to say. Back in, I believe, November, maybe early December. So 2 or 3 months ago, we learned from Adam Driver himself, the man, the myth, the legend, who played Kylo Ren in the sequel trilogy and Ben Solo. We learned that he and Steven Soderbergh, Oscar-winning director Steven Soderbergh, had been working on a Hunt for Ben Solo movie, which would take place after the sequel trilogy, for over 2.5 years. You did not mishear that. 2.5 years. Not only did Lucasfilm love it, Kathleen Kennedy, Dave Filoni, Carrie Beck, they all loved it, but they spent 2.5 years. They spent $3 million, the most they've ever spent on a script for a Star Wars movie. And they had, what was his name? Zach Burns? Either way, they had a fully written script and they were ready to shoot. Or they were getting ready to shoot. Then they go to Disney and pitch it, and Bob Iger and Alan Bergman said no. They can't possibly imagine how Ben Solo could be alive. Ironic. But they said no. However, a lot of those people that I just talked about, Kathleen Kennedy, Bob Iger, are now gone. New CEO at Disney. New CEO at Lucasfilm. Granted, Kathleen Kennedy was fully on board this movie, but still, change in leadership. So things might have changed. Take a look at this. Steven Soderbergh calls Disney insane for scrapping Ben Solo's Star Wars movie. Ever since Adam Driver let it slip in October. Okay, I was way off. Oh, what the hell is that? In October, so 5 months ago, that Disney axed a planned Star Wars movie centering around his character Ben Solo. Fans of the franchise have been rather upset. No, Star Wars fans? That's impossible. That the studio didn't greenlight the project. But nobody can possibly be as frustrated as director Steven Soderbergh, who said he had wasted nearly 3 years working on the script for The Hunt for Ben Solo, which Adam Driver called one of the coolest effing scripts that he's ever been a part of. left out that part. In this new interview, Soderbergh was asked about ongoing Lucasfilm president Kathleen Kennedy calling the script great last month, because on her exit interview type thing, Kathleen Kennedy gave an update on all these different Star Wars movies, and The Hunt for Ben Solo was one of them. Adam Driver had previously said that while Lucasfilm loved their take, CEO of Disney Bob Iger and Chairman Alan Bergman rejected the project. So here's what Soderbergh had to say. It was no surprise that Kathleen Kennedy was frustrated, Soderbergh said in the interview with the BK magazine. We were all frustrated. You know, that was 2.5 years of free work for me and Adam and the writer, Rebecca Blunt. I thought it was somebody else. Whatever. When Adam and I discussed him talking about it publicly, I said, look, do not editorize or speculate about the why. Just say what happened, because all we know is what happened. So he was pretty much like, when you go out publicly and say that this movie was a thing and it got canceled, don't speculate about why it got canceled. Just say what happened. And that's what Adam Driver did. The stated reason was, we don't think that Ben Solo could be alive. That's the reason that Disney said no. We don't think that Ben Solo could be alive. And as many people have pointed out, as we've talked about on these live streams over and over and over again, with the World Between Worlds, what Ahsoka has set up, what the Rebels has set up, it is very easy to bring that character back to life, specifically because his body disappears and he doesn't show up as a Force ghost at the end of the movie. And that was all that we were ever told. You know what's really funny? And this just popped into my head. I want to, just pause a second, okay? If Ben Solo did appear as a Force ghost at the end of Rise of Skywalker, people would have lost their minds. They would have been like, there's no way he could have learned to become a Force ghost. This is crazy. Blah, 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 blah. It's just the perfect example of how things have changed. Now, not in a good or a bad way, but things have changed. In 1983, when Return of the Jedi comes out, and Anakin Skywalker appears as a Force ghost, nobody questioned it. Or maybe they questioned it, but they weren't like, this is But now, if something like that were to happen in today's day and age in the Star Wars universe, just a thought. Just a thought. Okay, so they did not think that Ben Solo could be alive. And that's all we were told. And so there's nothing that we can do about that. We just accepted it and moved on. He continued to say, it kind of made the movie in my head and just felt bad that nobody else was going to get to see it. I want to see that movie. I'd really like to see that movie. I thought the conversation was strictly going to be a practical one where you go, what's it going to cost? And I had a really good answer for that. But it never even gotten to that point. It's insane. And we are all very disappointed. So he was thinking in terms of, I already know how much this movie's going to cost to make. I already know what I'm going to do. I'm already here. The script's already done. We've worked on this for 3 years. We're ready to go. And then he walks into Disney and they go, nope. We're not doing it. We're not doing it. Very disappointing. To be clear, Soderbergh and anybody else contracted to develop a Star Wars film got paid a fee to work on the script, so the work almost certainly wasn't entirely free. But 3 years of work on a Star Wars movie, it's a lot of work. And I'm sure the money was good, but they wanted to make the movie. But that number is presumably far less than what Soderbergh would have received if the project had been greenlit and he actually directed the film. Adam Driver's Ben Solo character was killed off at the end of 2019's Rise of Skywalker, and certainly killing off the character is a valid reason to not make a sequel focused on the character. Not like they haven't done that before. They're making a Maul Shadow Lord series. The characters died twice in canon. Okay, sorry. It's certainly a valid reason why don't not make a sequel focused on the character, but it's also an issue that one would think would be discussed before having Soderbergh and Driver spend years developing a script before it being axed. So there you have it. Soderbergh giving us a little bit of an update on what went down and why this movie was canceled, for lack of a better word. But with the leadership changes at both Lucasfilm and at, more importantly, Disney, do you think it's possible that this movie could still happen? Do you think that we could still be getting the hunt for Ben Solo to get made? Yes or no? What do we think in the chat? By the way, this poll is pretty close to 50-50 right now, so I'm going to leave it up there for a minute. What do we think? It wasn't... I was wasting my money on Galactus? What? I don't think I'm involved in that. I don't think I'm involved in that conversation. I don't know what that meant. I want them to make an alternate timeline. This timeline will separate the new ones with 7, 8, and 9 with Luke. That'll never happen. Star Wars will not be a multiverse of any kind of in any kind of way. I guess the good news for you would be that we're going to get a lot more Luke before the sequel trilogy, but yeah. Let's put up a poll. Who would you rather see return, Ben Solo or Mace Windu? Well, I can almost guarantee you the answer to that's going to be Mace Windu. Yeah, but the likelihood of Mace Windu is a lot lower. A lot lower. Because of having to implement him into the timeline would be nearly impossible. The campaign is on to get this movie made. Oh yeah, there's still Star Wars fans, and tons of them, still trying to get this movie made. And that's not going to stop. That's the big reason I think you're going to get this movie. Not because it was already developed for 3 years. The script already exists. Lucasfilm already loved it. That stuff is great and is going to help for sure. But the fact that Star Wars fans want it, and there's this ongoing campaign to get it to happen, that's the biggest reason why I think it can still happen. And it will. I think it's a matter of when. And when you look at certain things, now, granted, we talk about the Rey movie all the time because it keeps getting, Daisy Ridley keeps talking about it over and over and over again. Yeah, take a look at this. Wait, what? Oh, here it is. Where is it? There we go. So we talked about this, what he just said. He goes on to talk. Wait, what? Where is this? With the leadership change, Dave Filoni and Lin-Manuel Brennan could be possibly circling back to the hunt for Ben Solo in the future. This is, of course, speculation. But that Bob Iger and Kathleen Kennedy's exit may give the movie a new window of opportunity. That's more so what I'm talking about here. I think now, more than 2 months ago, more than 3 months ago, it's far more likely that we could get this movie because you have 2 new leaders at each company. Yeah. Indeed. Okay. But that's the update from Steven Soderbergh himself. It's just crazy when you have such a big-time actor like that. Director like that on board, and the actor Adam Driver, who is like the new generation Harrison Ford. If you watched his interviews, you'd think he'd hated Star Wars, but he's the one who pushed for this movie so hard. Even Adam Driver was on board, and I guess only time will tell if this movie will ever still happen, but we'll see. Okay, let's go back to the Mandalorian and Grogu because I got some pretty cool stuff to show you. I'm working on a short right now about this, but this is a Bounty Hunter episode featurette from the Clone Wars. This is probably, I don't know, from 2011, 2012 maybe. So this is at least 10 to 15 years, somewhere in there, years old video on StarWars.com, as you can see right here. about talking about how the bounty hunter Embo was created and the voice specifically of Embo was created. Take a look at this.
Kindly drop your weapons, Jedi.
Take it easy, Snips. We don't want any trouble.
The secret in Bounty Hunters, which I've been very tight-lipped about, surrounds the character of Embo.
Un piquer, be séparé.
I needed a way to come up with a language for Embo. My editor, Nick Anastasio, who is French, he had some of his Smurf books, all written in French. His son Alex comes in and reads them sometimes. So I just picked one of these up, and I cannot speak French. And I opened up, and I intentionally pronounced these French words very poorly.
Sois tu grand tu priste, Christa foque.
It just so happened that, you know, Nick liked it and Stu, the director, liked it. So, in the end, I am Embo. And I've kept that a secret from the crew. Most of the crew doesn't know that. And I have been incredibly resistant to ever playing a character in the show.
Embo!
In the original story, he died. Everybody was watching it, and everybody's like, "Oh, it's Embo. We really like Embo." Not because of the voice, but because the action was cool. Suddenly, people were saying, "No, we shouldn't kill him." So then we had to reshoot it, and Embo then was alive. So Embo's out there now. Who knows what Embo's future is going to be? But he's got a cool hat. Maybe Embo likes wolves too. We'll have to see.
So, I mean, first and foremost, Dave Filoni's the voice of Embo. That's crazy. I did not know that, which is really cool. So Dave Filoni's the voice of Embo. It's French. His dialogue is French, but spoken strangely and modified, which is cool. And he was supposed to die. He was supposed to be a one-and-done bounty hunter, but because he's so cool, because he looks so badass, and the helmet, of course, using it like it's freaking Cap's shield, is so cool that they kept him alive and they kept him around and they brought him back time and time again into season 2 or into season 3 and 4 of Clone Wars, and now he's in live action in the Mandalorian and Grogu movie. So that's pretty damn cool. How Embo came to be, pretty awesome, and now we get to see his badass face in the Mandalorian and Grogu. So I thought that was pretty cool. The fact that Dave Filoni is, you know, his voice is pretty cool. And we're going to get to see him in live action. Now, I honestly think that this is going to be a pretty short appearance for Embo. I think whatever he's doing here on Navarro, it'll be a very, very cool action sequence. But it won't really end up with him being involved in the story all that much. 50 Thunder with a very generous $2 holla. I appreciate that. Says Dave is Embo. The big hat, of course. It is true. Dave Filoni does wear the cowboy hat, and Embo wears this nice hat right here. So yeah, you're not wrong. I mean, that's definitely, that's for sure. Yeah, there's some correlation there. Do we know if he's voicing him again? No. I mean, we don't even know if Embo has any voice lines in this movie. But I assume if he does speak, then yeah, why not have it be Dave Filoni? Keep it consistent, you know? That would mean that Dave Filoni is 2 different characters in Star Wars. Yeah. That's pretty crazy. Yeah. Pretty cool. Pretty cool. Okay. So, in terms of The Mandalorian and Grogu, in terms of the plot, it's still so up in the air because in this new trailer, we barely get any of this.
More criminals.
Long live the Empire.
And I honestly could see it being like this guy, or at least the Shadow Council itself, could be the main villain of this movie. And all the Embo stuff, all the Hutt stuff is really just a distraction. Is that, hey, look this way while we're, you know, doing something epic that you just don't know about yet. Wait, is Embo speaking Galactic Basic? No. Embo doesn't speak Basic. However, it does sound like the Hutts are speaking Basic. That's a big question. Who is speaking in this scene? Right here.
suffer. And then it will be his turn.
I mean, to me, it looks like the Hutts. I mean, his mouth is still moving when he says the end of the line.
Then it will be his turn.
The only problem is we're talking about two characters here, Embo and the twin Hutts. To our knowledge, none of them speak basic. Embo speaks that weird French that we just talked about, and the Hutts speak Huttese in the Book of Boba Fett. So we've seen both of these characters speak in canon before, in Star Wars before, and they have not spoken basic. Granted, the Hutts are more likely to speak basic because you've seen Zero the Hutt speak basic. I assume that Rada is going to speak basic because Jeremy Allen White is voicing him. But Jabba the Hutt spoke Huttese, and these two spoke Huttese when we last saw them in the Book of Boba Fett. You still think it's Embo speaking? Okay, who do you guys think is speaking in this scene? Embo or the twin Hutts? Tell me in the chat.
You will suffer. And then it will be his turn.
Let's pull up the twin Hutts speaking. I just want to see if they sound like that. You know, because they'll have a similar voice. Oh, it's got to be the twin Hutts, guys. This is them speaking Huttese. Like that's the same voice.
Yes, motherfucker, the
That very deep, deep, deep voice. That's the same cadence, I guess, as the one in the trailer. So it's got to be the twin Hutts. Embo's is more of a robotic sounding one. So you heard that, and now listen to this.
It will be his turn.
It's definitely the Hutts. Yeah. That's 100% the Hutts talking. Yeah. Well, we figured something out today. That's for sure. Yeah. Plenty of secrets being kept, absolutely, when it comes to this trailer. Again, I got to go back to this. It's got 9.7 million views. Number one still on movie trending. It is huge, huge news. Oh, you guys can't see that. Hang on. 9.7 million views. Number one on movie trending. That is huge news for Star Wars fans. You're seeing the hype grow for this movie exponentially overnight almost online. And the biggest thing for me, I'm seeing a ton of edits on Instagram, on TikTok, a bunch of edits of this trailer. Like people getting excited for the movie. And you're going to see more of that as we get closer and closer. People rewatching the show and the hype growing just so much. The fact that this almost has as many views as the teaser trailer did in 5 months versus 2 days is absolutely insane. And it's just great, a great look for how this movie should and will perform come May 22nd. At least I certainly hope so. When you look at, I guess, in terms of other things, the Pixar Toy Story 5 trailer just dropped this morning, 3 hours ago, and it doesn't even have 1 million views yet. So obviously Toy Story is probably going to make a shit ton of money because the last two did. They made over $1 billion. And this movie, I'm sure, will make a lot of money too. It's, you know, only been 3 hours, of course, but it's not even hit a million yet. So it seems like the hype for The Mandalorian is growing every single day, which is huge. The marketing is not going to stop. I don't think we'll get another full trailer before the movie's release, but you will see more 30-second spots. You'll see new scenes just integrated into old stuff like they do with all the shows. And Maul Shadow Lord. Maul Shadow Lord is April 6th or 7th? I think 6th. April 6th. That is way closer than The Mandalorian and Grogu, and I'm sure we'll get a lot of promotion for that show as well. And we will see it coming very, very soon. I'm going to end this poll. By the way, 55% of you guys still think that the hunt for Ben Solo will happen. 45% say it won't happen, which would be great. Do you think we'll get a new Maul trailer soon? I'd say maybe early March. Yeah, I don't think they would. We just got this Mando trailer 2 days ago, so I think it will happen later on. It's 46 days until Maul. I'd say around the 30-day mark then. In 16 days, I think we'll get another trailer. Maybe not a full trailer, but at least like a teaser little thing, like maybe a minute or something like that. Yeah. I haven't shown that trailer in a while. What's up with that? Well, we got a pretty great trailer to look at the last couple days here. Yeah. It's a little bit more excitement going on for the Mandalorian and Grogu over the last 72 hours, I think. Just a little bit. Just a little bit. All right, but with that, I do have to get on out of here. I gotta go finish up a short for today, which, by the way, is that video we just watched. But watch out for that at 5 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. Watch out for that short, and of course, a live stream on Saturday, and maybe even a video tomorrow. And if you want to keep the conversation going, go join that Discord. There's a link in the description below to a Discord called The People Who Love Star Wars. This has been quite the hype week. Last 72 hours have been insane, and it's great to see the hype for this movie growing and growing and growing. And I can't wait to see this on May 22nd. But until then, we'll just have to keep on speculating and getting more information from leaks and Lego sets and merchandising and trailers. And trailers. Yeah. Don't forget how great animation is, Mike. Oh, I never will. Rebels is still my favorite piece of Star Wars content ever. And I'm watching that right now with Samantha, so we're actually watching the season 3 finale tonight. We watched Twin Sons finally. She knows that Darth Maul is dead. But it was great. Yeah. But I appreciate you all. Smash a freaking like in this stream if you have not already. Hit that subscribe and hit that bell to get notified every time I post a video. In my pretty face will show up the recommended feed of yours. But with that being said, yeah, may the force be with you. Always. Chopper. Oh, yeah. What a great stream. What a great show. You guys are the absolute best. I appreciate you all so much more than you'll ever know. This was quite the fun live stream. You know, the speculation for the Mandalorian and Grogu is going to continue for the next 3 months, but I feel like we've gotten to a good spot so far. With what we've been given with the Hutts and all this stuff with Embo, I think we can piece together a pretty good portion of the story. I just think they're keeping a lot of it a secret still. A lot of the Imperial Remnant side of things is being kept from us. And, yeah, I think we'll have to figure it out sometime soon. But until next time, hope you have a great rest of your evening, great rest of your lives, and good night, everybody.